Hello, in today's session, I'm going to cover a little specific question that I got from a customer today. So actually the request was, hey, I'm building a report in Designer. So we're building something here for my sample on car. So we got something like my country on here, but we can also replace it by the car itself. So build a report. So quite okay-ish. So working with it, let me rotate it. So I got my report in here. So actually now I want to do some filtering. So I'm adding country to the filter, but clicking on that one, I don't like that list. So I don't like the values in that list. I don't want to pull that values from the original database because the database might be slow or the values might be not what I'm looking forward to see. So how do I change it? So actually for myself here, I created a little lookup table. So I got the original values and I created some alternative display values to be used. So I want to use them. I did it in Excel, but of course you could put it wherever you want to. I'm going to even upload it to WebFOCUS in the next step. So going back to the WebFOCUS hub, I can go to plus, get data. So we're going to take our Excel document. We're going to take that country doc that we just saw. Here's my list, my values, and I'm going to put them into my database, into the sample folder. So I'm going to call that one country lookup. Just give it a name. I'm going to load it. So it's now going into my hyperstage database. Of course, you can use whatever data source you want to use for it. So I'm going to close it here because now we have the data. So how do we get it into the filter? So there are multiple ways. So with older versions of WebFOCUS, the way would be to go to the application directory. By the way, let me save and close my report here first. So gonna get that window closed. So in here, there's my country lookup and there's my master file. So now I have country, and if I want to get different values for the drop-down box from the values that I have in the database, I can click on the country field, go to properties, and under the properties, there's a section called accept. In here, I can define a fixed list of fields. So that one allows me just to add values manually as a fixed value. I can also link to a report, which means I'm going to have a report that builds that list of values, and I'm linking that report to populate the box. Or I can go to synonym, which allows me to simply take whatever master file I want to. So I'm going to take that one, go to IBsum, go to modify, and I'm going to take my country lookup that we just uploaded. And I can tell WebFOCUS now, hey, take the value for the filter, take the value. For the lookup, for the display, please take the display thing. I'm going to apply it now. I'm going to, of course, save it from here. And I can go back to the WebFOCUS hub. We can go back to our visualization that we created, and we can edit it now again in here. So we got our report, but if I click on country now, I can filter on Great Britain and Germany, and it's going to filter. But it's not displaying the values from the database that the report is built on. It's using those values from my little lookup table. So that's one of the ways to do it. So let me clear the filter here and save it again. The second way that only going to work with newer versions of WebFOCUS is keep my visualization, and it's going to require a page. So I can go to plus, assemble a visualization. Again, this is only going to work with latest 9.2 versions of WebFOCUS. I'm going to take whatever design here. So actually, we can now take my visualization, put it in here. It's going to ask me for the filters. So I'm going to take the filter. I'm going to add my country page to the filter. So as we know, you see, it's still coming from that list. But if I don't like that one, instead of changing it in the master file, in later versions of WebFOCUS, I also can select a filter, and instead of going in here, I can select the values for that list. So in here, there's a source. So for each of the controls on the page, I can set up a list. So currently you see the value is coming from the original master file, but I can change that one in here as well. So instead of loading it from the master file, I can select dynamic, and like I did, or like I showed you in the master file, I can in here in the page link it to a certain data source. Or I can here set it to be static. So I can in here go to that one. So we're gonna go for Italy and have the display value Italy. Oops, typo. Italy. Add a new one. So it's gonna be W Germany. And this is gonna be Germany as a display value. So let me add one more. So we're gonna have France in here, and it's gonna be France. So static value list, same thing. So now I got that static value list that I can determine and set up in the page. Again, same thing. You see now it's a static list with 3 values. Again, like we did in the master file, instead of having that list in here, I can go to dynamic in here as well. Select a data source. So in here you saw, by the way, let me explain something first. You can enable a data source or a report. So in here, we're going to go for the data source as well. So we're going to go to our EBSUM folder. And in the EBSUM folder, we're going to take up our lookup thing. So I think I called it something like country, or what was it? Country lookup or something like that. So let me search for lookup. There's my country lookup. So like we did in the master file, I can do the same thing in here. I can in here determine I want it to be sorted, descending by the display value. Okay. So now we got our list populated. So quite easy and quite straightforward to change and influence the behavior of those drop-down list population.